there's a great deal of work that needs to be done, in my opinion, in order to get to the point where we can effectively say that we have not only a really robust human intelligence and interrogation effort out in the field and in the schoolhouse and in the interrogation booths, but also one that is a strict adherer to human rights. Not something that looks at it as a stumbling block or something to be kind of, how do you work around it? How you get there is by understanding the role of human rights versus national security with relation to interrogation. One must stop looking at the question of torture and interrogation as how do we look at the interrogated person? How do we focus on the person who's being interrogated, and rather focus on the person who's doing the interrogation? The reason being is that the person who's being interrogated, if you focus all your efforts on them, then you get really locked into this debate of what we used to refer to as the gray area, pushing the limits of detainee treatment or prisoner treatment, both inside and outside of interrogation operations. This is where you get fuzzy orders coming, down the chain of command that lead to compromising situations, that lead to international embarrassments, because all your focus is on how do we answer the questions with just how far can we push the rules, because we believe that focusing on the interrogated person is going to solve the problems that we have with getting the information that we want to get. The interrogator is the fundamental, crucial linchpin in all of this. And this goes down to, again, the quality issue. Look at who you're recruiting, how you're recruiting them, what type of training are they going through, who are the instructors that are providing the training, how long is that going for, and once they're done with training, do they have follow-on training?
We have a criminal court system that can adequately handle terrorism cases. There is a process that is discussed in this pamphlet that allows for the prosecution of national security cases while protecting the rights of the accused and while protecting the national security interests of the United States of America. All the Classified Information Procedures Act allows is for the government, for the government or for the defense to either introduce national security information or substitutions or unclassified substitutions or summaries of that classified information in order for the government to prove its case or in order for the defense to better defend its case. When we start to talk about special courts, I kind of think to myself, aren't our courts special already? I mean, aren't they really? Okay. And if you're going to have special courts, well, Congress will likely create the court. How much politics will be involved? How much deal-making will be involved in order to craft that court? Okay? Who will decide who the special defendants are who go to the special courts? And when an administration changes, will the notion of who is special and who is no longer special change?
In a poll of 21 nations around the world, not a single one agreed with the position that the U.S. has been an important leader in promoting international laws and sets a good example by following them. While in nearly every country, a majority said the U.S. tries to promote international laws for other countries, but it is hypocritical because it doesn't follow these rules itself. Even 54% of Americans agreed with that. So now, with Obama, how have things changed? Well, Obama is popular, and what you do find is, throughout the world, hopefulness that things are going to change with Obama. But he will face some really key questions, and I think I'm just going to focus on one right now, which is I think that how he deals with the Muslim world is going to be really core. And this message that the U.S. is overpowering and really only just does what's its interest, isn't really following its values, this is a message that Al-Qaeda puts out all the time, and people basically buy it. And this is going to be a real challenge, because obviously there are a lot of forces in place, that there are a lot of interests that the U.S. has that could be, in a sense, put into some kind of a jeopardy if the U.S. does actually promote human rights in the Muslim countries, particularly in the Middle East.
America, during a long time, was for the many Russians, and for not only Russians, was the model of country which based on the ideas of democracy and rule of law. And everybody saw America is the leader in modern world. Next news about Guantanamo, about tortures and humiliations in Abu Ghraib. It was terrible for every human rights activist who was close to this movement. I do believe in success Obama international policy, because if he fulfill his promises to put end for Guantanamo and other such shamed facts, America will turn the right to be ideal of democracy and rule and law for all people who would like to establish democracy and rule of law in their own country, and in Russia, of course, too.
Concerning the internal affairs of U.S., Obama order to shut down the Guantanamo detention center, and also declared that practice of torture would stop and release some important documents. This is a very substantive measurements and actions. Second important statement, that U.S. is not at war with Islam, which also is good. But also George Bush said that before. But what makes different is that this is a new president with better image and record. But this is two generalized statements. There is no yet on the table substantive actions which assure people that the reality would be changed.